Hello and welcome to the West Virginia Penitentiary. My name is Lee. I'm going to be your guys' tour guide today. I used to be a corrections officer. I did not work here. I worked at St. Mary's Correctional and Rehabilitation Center. It's about 60 miles down Route 2 from here in St. Mary's, West Virginia. I did that for a hot minute, and then I ended up getting a history degree from Fairmont State University, and now I do the history tours. I like this job a lot better.
Oh, I bet.
Less people try to stab me. So we're going to count that as a promotion. We opened our doors here in 1866, 1 year after the end of the American Civil War. West Virginia was really a brand new state at that time. We had just separated from Virginia in 1863 at the height of the Civil War. Virginia went to the Confederacy and we said no thank you. We stayed with the Union. Capital in 1866 would have been Wheeling. They had not moved the capital to Charleston yet like it is today. And that is why they decided to build the state penitentiary here in the Panhandle. It would have been right outside the old Capitol, which would have had the highest police presence. So if we got in trouble, we could have drew on them and they could have saved us. That was the idea anyway. Going to be the inmates that built this place. All that would have been here in 1866 was really a field with a wooden stockade in it. So our inmates actually quarried, carved, cut, and laid every single stone right up around themselves on the north half of our property. It takes them 30 years to build the north half in a chain gang on 12-hour shifts of manual labor. They're using pickaxes, hammers and chisels, ropes and pulleys, horse and buggy. And like I said, it takes them 30 years to build the north. South side of the property is built years later. It's actually built during the Great Depression by a construction crew. Once the Depression hits, we get so overcrowded because desperate people do desperate things, and they ended up here with us. A lot of those local boys who worked up and down the Ohio River, they lost their factory jobs when the market collapsed, and no one was hiring. But they still had little ones to feed. Are they supposed to watch their kids starve to death, or are they going to find a way to put food on the table? Unfortunately, most of them did turn to crime, petty theft, robbery, forgery, that kind of thing, and they did end up here with us, and that is why we built the south half. So as we go through today, I'll let you know if we're on the north side, the old side, or if we're on the new side, the south side. That way you kind of have an idea of what time frame we're talking about. We are going to switch gears a little bit now. We're actually going to talk about our executions because that's the big show in here. This is the actual chair. This chair is used from 1950 to 1959. So we're going to have to start a little earlier than that because the prison's history starts earlier than that. We actually did 85 hangings before we ever did an electric chair kill. Hanging was the main method of execution in the state, if I'm honest with you. From 1899 to 1949, we did 85 of them. And if you've ever watched a Western, you've pretty much seen a hanging. Yeah. People really did come from miles around to watch these things, dressed in their Sunday finest. Top hats, bow ties, petticoats, big hoop skirt dresses, the nines, as they say. In fact, we had so many people showing up that we tried to turn folks away by charging a ticket price, thinking that that would scare some of them home.
I just brought a little more.
Yeah, they just paid the cash, came in, and watched anyway.
So is this the original position?
No, this is the original chair, but this is not where it would have been. No.
It kind of looks like this because
Yeah.
the steps go up. And
Yeah, this was actually the cage that we're looking at would have been what they called a bubble back in the day. It's where an officer is going to sit. His job is to monitor all the inmates in here. Because this room would have been non-contact visitation back in the day. Our chair would have been out on the old death house. Unfortunately for us, the death house is tore down in 1968. And the reason they tore it down in 68 is in 1965, a few years earlier, the West Virginia legislature abolishes the death penalty. We actually haven't had the death penalty in West Virginia since 1965. We're one of the first states to get rid of it. And that usually surprises people. Not that we were. We're going to get ready and head in, guys. We're going to do a full lap through the bottom floor of the pen today. We don't go to the second floor. We don't go to the basement. There's about 4 locations that they save for the ghost tour. But you're seeing 95% of the pen today. You're going to see both cell blocks, both courtyards, contact visitation, shadow man hallway, so we do a little bit of the ghost stuff. And then we're also going to talk about the big 1986 riot once we get to the cafeteria.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Everybody remembers that one.
We're in.
Right. Door closes. Welcome to prison. Real quick, let's talk about why we get shut down in 1995. It's really 3 main things. Reason 1, extreme temperature. We're talking heat. In the summer months, this building got hot. We never had central air conditioning other than 1 room, and that room is not built until 1987, and that would have been the cafeteria. So in the summer months, we use ceiling fans, and we eventually get a ventilation system, but that really just blows the hot air around. It doesn't get rid of it. So in the cell blocks, in July, it would actually reach temperatures upwards of 115 degrees. And men were living in that all the way to 1995. Winter months, second reason, is the exact opposite. We didn't have central heat. We had wall radiators. And if you look underneath this sign, they keep hiding it on me. We got our old
Look at the radiators.
Yeah. If you've ever lived in a home that uses style of heat, it doesn't work in big open spaces. Yeah. Well, most of our prison is a big open space. It would actually get below 35 degrees in the cell block in the winter months.
And could they by working, could they buy
You can, so everybody
blankets?
is issued 1 state issued blanket, 1 state issued coat, and 1 beanie. But if you had the money for it from working, you could buy 1 extra blanket, and that was really about it.
Wow.
It got cold in here. In fact, we've talked to officers that used to work here, and they said that in the late fall, this floor would sweat and then freeze at night. And they said you could ice skate in here.
Wow. That's cool.
It is freezing.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and the third and final nail in our coffin is overcrowding. We had approximately 800 cells, but we had almost 2,700 inmates.
Wow.
That is not a good average. Yeah, you're looking at an average here anyway of 3 adult males per cell. Our cells are only 5 feet by 7 feet. 3 men in a 5 foot by 7 foot box causes some problems.
Yes.
We end up with a body count from murder and suicide of 998 from that. So, and that is the final nail. The Supreme Court closes us for unconstitutionality. They said we violated the 8th Amendment, which is cruel and unusual punishment.
Sounds like it to me.
Yeah, definitely.
I have to agree with all that one.
Yeah.
Even though what they did to get in here was a cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to shift gears again. This side, you're going to notice says new wall on the rafters. This is going to be the south side. It's the side that's built during the Great Depression. It's going to end up being GP, or general population. These boys, on average, had about 5 to 15 years. Most of these guys aren't the real hardcore guys. General pop is usually men who are just trying to do their time and go home. After 1950, the north half of the property, which was the old side, it gets converted into what they call administrative segregation. which is a fancy way of saying scum of the earth. That's the lifers. Multiple murderers, multiple rapists, mob bosses, gang leaders, they're all locked in the North. The North is so violent here that it gets the nickname Blood Alley. And we'll go check it out.
All right. So the north side guys never kind of mixed with the south side guys?
Not after they turned it into administrative segregation, no. They're too dangerous to move around. We're gonna go check out contact visitation. So you probably already saw the sign that said contact visitation, but this is what the room would have been used for. There used to be about 20 tables in here, and inmates were allowed one visitation session a month. You had to apply a month in advance. It was usually about 60 minutes in length, and our inmates were allowed 2 adult visitors at a time. But if your wife was coming in and you had 3 little ones, they weren't going to tell your little ones they couldn't come in. And it really is the children that cause all of this painting to get put up.
Make it softer.
Yeah, it was scary for the little ones. The building itself is scary.
Yeah.
It's Gothic architecture. It's designed on purpose as a deterrent. You're supposed to look at our building and go, yeah,
Don't think I want to go
will
there.
obey the law.
Don't think I want to be in there.
Yeah, no. But the real reason I think it was scary in here for the kids is going to be
That
that
big cage?
small cage
Yeah.
up there.
With the men up there with guns.
Correct, yeah.
I see the little holes where a gun can pop out.
That would have been the armed gun station. There's going to be an officer up there. He's going to have a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun, and he's also going to have a .38 revolver. Like you pointed out, the holes are for the gun barrel. So his job is to look as menacing as possible and make sure no inmate takes a hostage from the civilians who have come in to visit. 2 inmates, though, end up doing all of this artwork, the paint. That's going to be Sean Adamy and Smitty Harding. They were on the art department, and it took them about 6 months to paint all of this.
I bet they enjoyed it.
They did.
You know what I mean? It gave an outlet for their creativity. And
We're talking late 80s when this gets painted, 88. And they were really into the art therapy at that time.
Even though they were from this side of the prison.
Correct.
They were into therapy.
There you go. Sure. But yeah, they do all of it. And it did help. The children weren't as scared
sure.
to come in here after that.
Well, I was kind of surprised when I walked in and seen all the paintings.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that.
No.
But I understand it now. I get it.
Yeah. We're going to talk about this little diorama behind me because it is weird. And I get questions about it every day. This is actually done by an inmate. He signs the rock over here by the dead rabbit. His name was Dale Bragg. He built this for the Mound Museum across the street. You guys probably saw the giant mound outside. It was built by the natives. They lived here about 3,000 years ago. They were called the Adena. We don't know a lot about them. They did not have a written language, so really everything we know about them is based on artifacts, like arrowheads, beads, pottery, and bones.
So it was their burial ground. It would have been across the street.
Correct, yeah. This whole valley right here, actually, if I'm honest with you, used to be like one of their holiest sites. This was a giant graveyard.
did they build this over one? Because I was reading that they knocked one down.
Yeah, this is where the story is going to get a little dark.
Let him tell the story.
The mound had 2 bodies in it. They built the mound, they put the chief in it. Years later, they built the same mound a little taller. They stuck the second chief in it. But the regular tribe, if I'm honest with you, was buried around the mound. So
On the flat area.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Which means all the way over here.
correct. That's where we're going. Unfortunately for us, in 1866, when they dug up the foundation to build the prison, they really were digging up arrowheads, beads, pottery, and bones. and nobody cared in
Exactly.
1866.
Right. It was just another dead body and move it out of the way.
Most of it got thrown into a pile. Some of the arrowheads got taken home. But for the most part, they didn't care. And at one point in time, believe it or not, there was a saloon on top of the mound.
On the big mound?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There's a photo of that in a local eatery. It's called Bob's Lunch. He's got a bunch of old photographs from in town because he's been here forever. And he has a photo with a saloon on top of the mountain.
Now we know where we're eating lunch.
So,
On top of the mountain?
No,
There's a saloon up there.
Bob's going to Bob's.
Bob's Lunch,
Yeah.
so,
Well, we certainly got the right tour guide today. You being a history major, tell us all this stuff. That's cool.
yeah, they actually just hired me to do the history stuff. I don't usually do the ghost tours at night. So.
I'm more into the history stuff anyway, so you're
Yeah,
you're good with us.
Glad to hear it.
We're not.
We're not so much history. Yeah, we're more into history than the ghost tours.
Well, you got the right.
We were meant, I know, we were
That was quite interesting.
Yeah. We'll head towards the cafeteria then.
So that's where we're eating lunch. The cafeteria.
So back in the early 2000s, this is the hallway where that lady caught the picture of the shadow man that ended up bringing everyone else here. She rented the building overnight, and she was in this hallway walking from the red door back to the lobby. She got right in here, and she said she heard a metal on metal noise behind her, so she turns around real quick, and that's where she caught that photo. It made the newspaper. It said West Virginia Penitentiary haunted, and that's what brought everyone else here.
It started the ball rolling.
Yeah, MTV came. MTV filmed the pilot episode of Fear.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had Paranormal State, Mysteries of the Unknown, Ghost. Everybody. Everybody came after that. So.
And nobody's been seen since.
Right. No, we get people who catch some weird stuff in here.
Now, were any of the inmates allowed to walk around in here, or?
This side, originally, it's changed a lot over the years. This wall isn't even built until '87.
I said, yeah, because that's a fairly new wall there.
So this whole section, that from the Ninja Turtles to this wall and from the red gates to the red door, this used to be the old cafeteria.
Okay.
Yeah, so we only had 16 acres to work with because the town surrounded us. So it's not like we could buy new
Expand
land.
out, right?
Right, so if we're not using something, we have to remodel it, repurpose it.
Repurpose it, yeah.
Yep.
I'm all into repurposing. So this big area was the old cafeteria.
Yeah, we would have called this MDR, main dining room, back in the
Okay.
day. We're gonna do a loop.
Yeah, we're going to go through.
come
We're
right
just,
back.
I'll just get some quick shots from this end. And then they moved over here into the new dining hall.
That's right.
Wow, this nice fancy cleaned up place.
Yeah. This would have been pill line. If our inmates needed medication, they're gonna get it before they go in the cafeteria.
So the meds.
Right.
Yep.
We're gonna have a nurse in here. She's gonna check the inmate's OID number, offender identification number, make sure he is who he says he is. And then she's gonna dispense the medication through the drop box, kind of like at the bank. We're gonna have an officer right here. He has the second worst job in the whole prison, in my humble opinion, as somebody who's worked in a prison. He has to check everybody's mouth to make sure they swallowed the pills. A lot of these guys would try and pocket them, keep them in their cheek or under their tongue, and when they got out of here, they'd spit them in a napkin and sell them. They could save them up and commit suicide via overdose. They could poison roommates, hurt officers. So it's not a cursory glance. We really had to look. And a lot of these guys didn't have the best hygiene in the world. So we usually gave this job to the new guy.
Nice. Well, they even had a salad bar. This is a good sized room.
Believe it or not, this one was smaller than the old one. Old one could feed 300 at a time. This one can feed 150. We found out that 300 inmates at once was too many to watch. And that's going to get us into our story. So that was actually a pretty good segue. This is the new cafeteria. It's built in 1987, so 35 years ago. It was built as a direct result of the '86 riot.
So this is the cafeteria they built because of the riot?
Because of the riot, yeah.
And this is where they had the air conditioning?
Right.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. January 1st, 1986, our inmates riot in the old cafeteria and expand outwards. They take over the whole prison for 56 hours. The reason they riot is the conditions in the old cafeteria are disgusting on a good day. We interviewed numerous officers and they all pretty much said the same thing. They said when they came in at night shift, which began at 7 o'clock p.m. or 1900 hours, that they would turn the lights on, and they said that old concrete floor in the cafeteria looked like it had shag carpeting on it.
Ooh.
From cockroaches and mice.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Nice.
They riot over the conditions. Like I said, they took over the prison for 56 hours. They took 16 officers hostage. They took 3 inmates hostage. The 3 inmates, of course, were known tattletales or snitches. They like to be cute on TV and say snitches get stitches, but in real life, snitches get dead.
Yeah.
They tortured and murdered those 3 inmates
Wow.
in some pretty horrific ways. After they killed the 3 inmates, they elect a leader. Do you remember Danny, the guy who did the New River Gorge painting? That's who they elected.
He was the leader. Huh?
Yeah, actually, he ends up being the head of the Avengers motorcycle gang in here.
Really?
Yeah, he's the one that they pick, and he's the one that's going to negotiate with our governor, who in 1986 would have been Arch Moore, and he has a tough decision to make. Arch has to decide if he's going to bring in the reinforcements with the guns, or if he's going to try and talk things out with Danny and see if he can save some folks. He actually chooses to talk to Danny. We're kind of surprised, but he does. And he ends up saving all 16 of our officers. He just had to give Danny everything he wanted. And what did Danny want? He wanted a new clean cafeteria, he wanted a new clean kitchen, and he wanted central air and central heat.
And this is what he got.
For everybody, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and it's to think, when you think about it, it should have been something that should have been done in the first place without all that.
Yeah, the inmates had been complaining and even filed lawsuits about it, and nothing got done. And their frustration is really what led them to do the '86 riot.
And when you hear about the riot in the news, you don't hear about the floor you just explained to us.
Sure.
You don't hear that side of the story.
Yeah.
Didn't they make a movie or something as well from that?
We've had multiple movies filmed here over the years.
I mean, about the riot itself.
Yeah, we had one. We had one filmed about it too. So we had a lot of documentaries on it.
Yeah, I think I've watched a few, but I don't remember anything about the cockroaches and the rats and the floors and why the riot really happened in the first place. They kind of downplay that.
Sure. I'm not surprised. Well, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I usually let my groups look around in here. A lot of people like to check out the murals that go all the way around the room. If you want to go into the back of the kitchen, you can. When you guys are ready, you just...
Gonna go get some lunch, Beth?
Yeah, gonna get some lunch.
Gonna go get some lunch? Wait a minute, I'll go inside and serve you. Nice, have a private tour, a lot of water on the floor. But this is the reason that they had to riot, because they wanted a new kitchen. And this was the new kitchen at the time. People died. People were killed so they could have this kitchen. And now here it is, not very much longer, back in the 80s. These are big walk-in coolers. And here it is sitting empty. And people died for it, and now it sits there empty. Kind of a shame, really. But this kind of stuff has to happen, but it is interesting. Some pizza ovens there, or whatever. It's cool that he allowed me to sneak through the door and actually get in here into the old kitchen. And actually, this is a new kitchen. Into this kitchen area. I got to come in and try to get some shots of this. It's yes, there's no lights in here. I mean, there's probably lights, but I'm not turning them on, or I've been asked to turn them on. I would just kind of snuck through that door there, and he said, go ahead. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm doing some shots of the kitchen area, of why this riot took place. And because of that, this whole area here was built. And this is all the serving area. And they would come up to these windows, and they would be on the other side there, and pick up their trays and go out there and eat. So that's the kitchen area. That's the new kitchen area. Beth is on the other side there. She's looking for food. Sorry, you're too late. We ran out of food.
I need food.
We ran out of food. Okay. No more food. Should have been here in the 80s. Come back again when we open. See if we care. This is a big grill area here, where all the fire extinguisher was, so you could just imagine all the ovens and stoves and cooking places in this area here, where they would have cooked all the food, because the top is still here, all the top part of it, but all the stoves are actually gone now. But it's interesting walking around. It's not ancient history, but it is history. I don't know how much you can see here. The ceiling's all caving in. It's obviously it's leaking. There's water all over the floor. I'm probably not supposed to be back here, but since it's a private tour, just us, he kind of let me come in here. I'm going to go down this dark hallway, kind of see if I can see anything back here. Just more food lockers back in here. More and more and more. The chain on this gate. I'm going to try to peer out this window over here. See what's out there. Probably not too much. It's pretty much just like the parking lot out there. Put my hand to that screen there. Now I'll probably get thumbnail. Well, I didn't cut myself, so I'm good. All right, that's the kitchen. Not sure what's in some kind of offices or where the guards went inside there, I guess. So, and this is even more of the kitchen area over here. There was a sink there and prep area. Oh, okay, this is where they cleaned. This is the dishwashing area where they would send the dishes. They would drop their dishes off here and they would prep them to go through the dishwashing machine over there and around and get put away. All right. That makes sense. All right, I'm going to get back out of here before I get this car in trouble.
Historically.
Yes, accurate.
That was fascinating. That's really cool in there.
Yeah, a lot of people go back there and a lot of the ghost hunters go back there. They say it's got bad mojo, but you know how that goes.
Yeah,
But it was just interesting to blog for the purpose of the riot. This is what they built.
Yeah.
This is what they got of it, and now it's just sits here empty.
Yeah, it was a $3 million in 1987 investment by the state. They built the cafeteria, the kitchen, AC and heat, and then if West Virginia is going to spend $3 million in 1987, the officers are going to use it too, and they ate behind the wall.
Okay, so that was their area.
Yeah, it's kind of like a teacher's lounge.
Right. That's really good kids set.
Right.
The cool kids.
Yeah.
So that's very cool.
So this is the old side, guys. All of these giant sandstone blocks that you see, they're all going to be quarried, carved, cut, and laid by inmates. The closer you look at the walls, the more stuff you're going to see carved in them. We'll go have a look.
And you can see where the new kitchen area was attached to the building here, and build one out here.
Alright, so the first thing that you might see is Roman numerals, because these guys had a quota of how many stones they had to produce a day. If you look between the white pipe and the column, above the white paint, 2 stones, 3 stones,
Oh yes.
you're going to see Roman numerals.
Yep.
And that's those guys keeping track of how many stones they had done so far. Unless they didn't know Roman numerals. And that's how you get this right here. Right on the side of the column, 4 above the white paint. He didn't know what the Roman numeral for 4 was.
Number 4.
So he put
So
number
he wrote,
4.
No 4. Number 4.
So if they couldn't count Roman numerals, they had to come up with their own devices.
That's right. Next thing you might see is if you follow the white pipe all the way up to the rusty joint, if you look to the left, you're going to see an M and a P. That's going to be that guy's first and last name, his initials. So they carved all kinds of stuff all over our walls.
Very cool. So apparently that's the original gate over there, huh?
Yeah, that's actually the first section of wall they built. We'll head that way shortly.
Alrighty. That's pretty cool.
We're going to talk about the admin building here. We'll start at the top, we'll work our way down. I think that's what makes the most sense. You're going to notice the top 2 floors do not have bars on the windows. And that is because the top 2 floors are a 2-story house. That actually used to be the old warden's residence until about the mid-1950s.
Oh, that's up close and personal.
Sure. The very first warden that lived up there, his wife puts her little hands on her hips and she goes, "I'm not looking out barred windows." So we didn't put bars on the windows for her. Happy wife, happy life. That's what they say. Second floor's got a balcony on it. That's going to be the warden's office. He's going to run the entire facility from that second floor. He would have came out on the balcony back before 1930, and he would have talked to the inmates who were standing here in the rec yard. This all used to be grass. This wasn't always a parking lot. So that's where he ran the show from. Bottom floor of the admin building, which still has the administration building sign dead center there, it was actually open to the public. There was a post office. You could have came in and mailed a letter. U.S. Post Office grade is still in there. I'll show it to you. There was a barber shop. You could have came in and got a haircut or a straight razor shave from
Just
an
right
inmate.
off the street.
Yep. There's actually a photo in the museum from the 50s of a boy about 9 getting his hair cut by an inmate.
Wow.
And then, of course, there was the store. Our inmates back in the early days had wagon craft, blacksmithing, leatherworking, and carpentry. We tried to give them a trade before we kicked them out. That way they wouldn't come back. And you could come in off the street and place orders. We made everything from rocking chairs, cedar chests, dining sets, leather purses, leather wallets, horse saddles, bull whips, and horseshoes. I kind of think of it like a twisted Amish country.
It's true.
We're gonna make our way towards the white tower over there, guys. Blue building is built in 1972. That's gonna be the new Industries building. They made license plates, park benches, and road signs.
Oh, nice.
Stop, yield, one way, that kind of stuff.
This is where the basketball courts were?
Yep. After 68.
After 68. Before then they didn't have basketball.
Well, before 68, this is where the death house was.
Ah, right here.
Yeah.
This is where they did all the electrocution and hangings?
Yeah, they would have did all 85 hangings and all 9 electrocutions right where these 2 basketball courts are. Unfortunately, it's not a lot to look at now because they tore it down in 68. But as I said, we only had that 16 acres to work
Right.
with. So we had to repurpose it if we weren't using it. And
Absolutely.
since the death penalty was abolished, we weren't going to be killing anybody. So we turned it into a rec yard.
Well, there's a lot said for the imagination.
Yeah. This rec yard would have been the only yard time those real bad guys in North Hall got. From 68 to 1995, this was it. So we had men in here from 68 to 95 who never touched grass.
Wow.
They were either on the concrete floor or the hot asphalt. Can you imagine going from 68 to 95 and not touching grass?
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's enough to drive anyone crazy.
Yeah,
Blue sign speaks the truth. We are still owned by the Division of Corrections and Rehabilitation. We do a mock riot here every single year. They close us down the first week of May, kick us out, and then the COs come in here and play with all their toys. Riot shields, pepper ball guns, flashbang grenades.
Really?
We do CERT team training, K9 unit training, and special operations.
And they do it all right
They
here.
do it right here.
Wow.
They bring police forces all across the country in here to train. It's a pretty big deal.
I bet. That'd be something to be here to see that. But kind of a private training.
Yeah, they don't let public in because they don't want them to know the maneuvers.
Exactly.
Wagon Gate is the oldest section of the property. That's the first thing they built back in 1866. If you've ever seen a Western with the caged wagon backs that had inmates in it, that's what came through that gate.
Wow.
That's how it got the name Wagon Gate.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. After they finished the Wagon Gate, they built the cell block, and that's where they lived ever since. So we're gonna make our way towards that red and blue door over there, and we're gonna see the real show. The cell
All right,
block.
very good. Yeah, I like that Wagon Gate building. That's pretty cool.
The guy up on top of it, you see where the railing is? That was one of the two positions that didn't have bolt-action rifles. He had a Thompson submachine gun.
Oh, wow.
Like the one that's in the museum under glass, that's what he had.
Yeah, I seen that in there, so that's cool. Well, they must have had his stables here on property at one time then.
We did, yeah. This whole courtyard has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
Guards taking us back in again. Oh my. This looks like a nice place to spend my rest of my life. I keep ducking. I know the ceilings are higher, but they seem low.
It's got about a 6'1" clearance in some places.
Well, they have some nice new toilets in some of them.
Oh yeah. These 4 cells are behind this fence and this door. These are the 4 gang leaders.
Oh, these are the boss guys.
Yeah, if you're big enough, bad enough, mean enough, and willing to kill enough folks, you get your own private room.
Wow, nice.
'Cause we get tired.
So this is the luxury suites.
Oh yeah, we actually call them the suites as a joke. They have their own private shower here too.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, privacy wall.
Little privacy wall.
Quarters for what? Was it?
This was the luxury suite for the gang leaders.
Oh, really? Luxury suite.
This is where the boss guys hung out because they didn't want him with the regular guys because they killed too many people.
I'm surprised there's glass on the, like a mirror.
And this wall here separated the leaders from the main group.
Wow. Because they had their own rooms.
Yeah, because if you threw anybody else in there, they just would
Yeah,
have
they
killed
would
them.
write.
Yeah.
And we would have to fill out paperwork, and nobody likes that.
You don't want to do paperwork. Then you got to drag that body out and
That's
get rid of
right,
it.
It's a hassle.
So you just put a wall up, give them their shower, and say, "You guys are over here."
Yeah. Well, they could if they've mingled with everyone else, they could pass hits on, and before you know it, someone on South Side ends up dead. So we tried to segregate them as much as possible. Easy to get it. Echo! I'm one guy.
Wow.
Imagine this is crammed full of
Yeah.
hooping, hollering, screaming, laughing, cussing each other out, getting into fist fights. And then on top of that, it was worse.
Oh, yeah, they-
because they're allowed Gen Pop to buy radios and 11-inch TVs. So here's how this would have went. We're going to use our imagination.
And this is called Migraine
Migraine
City.
Yeah. Cell 12, let's just pretend he buys a brand new 11-inch TV. He wants to watch Dan Rather on the evening news. Cell 13 hates Dan Rather, and he thinks the news is boring. But he did just buy that brand new Motley Crue cassette tape. He's gonna pop in the Crew and turn it to 11 because he doesn't want to listen to Dan. And they're all doing that. Whoa. And it's all reverberating off the wall.
Drowning out the other guy.
And if you're an officer, you work a 12-hour shift in here.
Oh my.
So you're leaving with a headache.
Yes, for
You're
sure.
right in there with
Wow.
Yeah. So,
3 at,
and this is what gets them
where
shut
did they
down.
sleep, on the floor?
I will show you.
Wow.
I will show you.
3 men in each cell.
Yeah. We're gonna use cell 16 here for this. I think it's got all the answers. So, if you look on the outside of the cells, you're gonna see rivet holes, and that's where the top bunk used to be.
Okay.
We had to take the top bunks out because in the last 5 years or so, people started jumping up on them to take Instagram selfies, and we were afraid it was gonna fall and hurt somebody, and we don't have that kind of money. So,
Like you said earlier, stupid people do stupid stuff.
that's right. So one guy's on the top bunk, one guy's on the bottom bunk, and the little weak guy who lost the fist fight, he's going right here on the floor.
Wow.
He's sleeping on a military bedroll. It's like a camping mattress. They unrolled it at night. He slept on it. They rolled it up in the day for space. And I have worse news. If you are the little guy on the floor, you're not sleeping with your head by the door.
Oh, wow.
You're going to sleep with your head under the toilet. And you're going to choose to do that. And I'm going to show you why you're going to choose to do that. The bean hole is at neck slicing height. If your head's on the inside of that door, you just reach down there and stab them in the neck. We had 4 men get stabbed in the neck in here before everyone started sleeping with their feet near the door, because it's better to get stabbed in the boot than the jugular vein.
For sure.
It's crazy.
So they do just pass their food through there.
Yeah, this is where they got fed as well. You'll notice one of the bars is missing, and that's for the cup that was on the tray. So they were fed through the bean hole. What are we stabbing each other with? Well, watch my finger. That's a knife blade. They've cut the steel out and made blades.
Wow.
They're using Comet because that's what they cleaned with. It's a chemical that's also happens to be corrosive. And they're going to use shaving razors because our inmates had to be clean shaven for ID purposes. So they're going to put Comet on it. It's going to weaken the steel. They're going to hit it with a razor blade. It's going to make a scratch mark. They're going to put more Comet in it. And they're just going to repeat that process until eventually they wiggle it and break it off. Not going to be sharp yet though. Where are we sharpening our new machete blades? Concrete floors, the biggest whetstone in the house. If you look in cell 16 on the floor, you will see sharpening marks.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. I'm surprised they didn't do it under there so they
Well,
would see.
that's where their cut boxes would have been, which is where you keep your clothes and legal papers. It's like a foot locker. Yeah.
Well, how can you take my picture on the outside there?
Here, I'll stand back here.
All right.
Guys, the bell's gonna ring, door's gonna close. You'll be in there for 30 seconds. Here we go.
Okay, I'm officially locked in the cell.
Here.
Wow. I hope the power doesn't go out.
Hey, we're free when we...
I'm not free, I'm not free.
Not yet. What?
They got us locked up. What did you do to get locked in here with you? What did I do to get locked in here with you?
Okay, we gotta do it.
Alright, doors are gonna open.
Too late. What did I do to get locked in here with you?
Here, now, it's all right. Hey,
Come on. Just take it.
I didn't.
Oh.
Now you can say you've been locked up.
Wow, I know.
We've been locked in a prison.
First time ever.
State supply. I don't know if these guys had to buy it or not.
This is the other side. Basically the same thing.
Yeah, this
That's
side.
where the stairway goes up right there. Going up.
Sorry.
That's okay.
This side, if you look, actually still has the second bunk. We haven't taken it out yet. So right in here, this is what one would have looked like.
Okay. Yeah, that's tight.
Yep.
2 guys on the wall and 1 on the floor.
Amazing.
You can see they really cut out here for weapons.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Cut out the doorway and use them for weapons. Apparently they were working on this one, didn't quite get the job done. So this is where the post office would have been. And you could come in from outside and mail letters right here. So anybody could have came in here and to mail letters.
Correct.
Wow.
This would have been the store where you're buying rocking chairs, cedar chests.
Oh, really?
The company store? So this is inside the main building up below the Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Ah,
This would have been the wheel.
cool.
Yeah. Big rotary door. This one's pretty rare because the floor moves also. So as I spin this, check this out, even the floor spins.
The whole thing goes around.
Yeah, most of these is just the bars, but ours the whole
So it would spin around so the people coming from the outside could come in here and,
It's a Sally port is what it is. It's just a big one-way entry.
but it would be shut off all the time basically.
Yeah, you would have came through these double doors, which is the front of the building, the big front. You're gonna stop at this barred window. That's gonna be secretary and payroll. There's gonna be an officer there. You can see the little knob where he would sit, and that is how he operated the wheel.
Oh yeah.
It was ran with a trolley motor attached to a pulley and belt.
So he'd operate this cage from in that room.
That's a crank. That little
I
knob.
see.
So he rotated around. Up the stairs is going to be the warden's office.
That's where the warden's office would be and his residence.
Yep.
So we're below the warden's office and his residence. So people just, I'm surprised to find that the people from off the street could just come in here.
Prison's built first, town booms up around it. First homes are officers' homes. Lots were cheap. They bought a lot, built a house, walk across the street to work. And that's really how Moundsville starts.
They came in, did their mailing and shopping right here.
Yep, until they built a new post office and a new,
Right.
yeah. But
So
at first-
the town got its act together.
Yep. Exactly.
This would have been inside the post office area here. Very cool. This place is amazing.
Barber shop. If you look on the floor, you can see where the wall used to be. Right in front of you is the barber shop.
Okay. Oh yeah, you can see the indentations in the floor there. And of course the old radiator is still standing. The walls are gone, but the radiator is still there. That's funny. Look at these huge doors.
Yeah, it had to look nice because this was open to the public. So this was here for protection, and then to make it look, fancy, they had the big wooden doors closed because we had to look opulent.
Right, it wasn't so threatening
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
They come in and see great big bars where
Right.
the bad guys were, so to speak.
All right, guys, watch your step here. There's a lip,
All right.
and then there's another one. So just be
Very
careful
good.
there, guys.
They even had elevators.
Yeah, that went up to the second floor infirmary. A little bit of a ramp here as well. So So do you remember me talking about an old cafeteria and kitchen that were gross and disgusting?
Yes,
This is the freezer box.
this is the freezer
We
box.
found out in West Virginia it's cheaper to repurpose than to remodel, so we turned it from a freezer box into a tool room. We had to lock up
That's
every
funny.
hammer, screwdriver, and saw blade, because the best shank in the world is a Phillips head screwdriver. It's already got a handle on it.
Modern day restroom there. And this again will be part, what room we're in now is part of it. Going into the main dining room area. Of course, they put a wall up and blocked it off, half of it. That's where we were earlier today, on that hallway, on the other side of that wall. So this is one of the areas that the riot actually started, was in this room.
They turned it into a state shop after the new one gets built. State shop's where you go get your outfit and your bedding.
Okay.
So it would have been the washing machines and laundry, and they're going to make new uniforms. So there's going to be sewing machines and that kind of stuff.
Don't start any riots in here.
Okay.
We were locked up in there in a prison cell, but they paroled us. They gave me 5 years. They gave Beck 20. Just talk about truth.
He can say he was locked up at the West Virginia Penitentiary.
My wife went to prison. All I got was this lousy T-shirt. Well, we got paroled, and we are happy to get out of here. But
Definitely.
you did get 20 years probation. I only got 5. Guess who did the worst crime?
I married you 45 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, that's more than 20 years of probation. I'll tell you that right there. You're going to be happy to get out of this.
No.
happy. You're more like life imprisonment than me.
Oh,
You're more like, you're getting a life sentence.
All joy.
She gets a life sentence and I get a T-shirt. Yeah, boy. I think that's the second time I said it, but that's okay.
Okay.
What?
Just now we'll just say
We'll just say happy. I thought we said happy.
You
Wait,
said happy.
Wait. Oh, you didn't say it.
No.
Well,
you're like,
you
I'm the happy person.
Well, I am. I didn't get 20 years.
Okay.
You ready? You
Yeah.
say it now.
We both say it.
Oh, we're
That's
both
what,
saying
yeah.
it. Oh, well.
Okay.
I didn't get that memo.
Okay.
Happy.
Happy.
And happy. I'm very happy.